Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffery Combs.
Jeffery Combs, President and Founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, Tuesday afternoon, 2 for Tuesday. Welcome, everyone. I will let the Facebook Live populate, and then I will move into the inspirational portion of today's Facebook Live. Good afternoon, everyone. Good to be here with you on a very hot July afternoon in Stockton, California. I believe the temperature is around 105 degrees today. So if you are here with me, I am privileged and honored to be here with you. It is 2 for Tuesday, Facebook Live. Good afternoon. It's good to be here with you. Jeffery Combs, President and Founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. The topic for today's Facebook Live is success versus struggle. Would success contradict your struggle? I'm going to grab a book for you very quick. I have a book that breaks down some of the content that I will cover today. It is called 3 Keys to Empowerment, and I am going to find the section on life was never meant to be a struggle. So if you're just coming on here today, welcome to 2 for Tuesday. Jeffery Combs, President and Founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. Good to be here with you. I will let the Facebook Live populate and move into the inspirational portion of today's Facebook Live. Would success contradict your struggle? That becomes the question. Would success contradict my struggle? What does that actually mean? It means that if struggle has been a way of life, if codependence has been a way of life, if you're an enabler, over-obligator, do more for others than you do for yourself, and don't feel like you get your just rewards, or don't feel that you get recognized, or don't get the recognition, or you don't get the adulation, or you don't get the wisdom or the insight that you feel you should be getting, and you've just barely gotten by, money has been an issue, you're a heartaholic, and you've had relationship challenges and been in dysfunctional jobs, businesses, and careers, then success definitely would contradict your struggle. And if this is you, then this content is specifically for you to understand why you do what you do so that you can begin the let go process, the breathe, the release, and the let go process. Mike Green, good to see you this afternoon on 2 for Tuesday, 1:03 in the afternoon on a beautiful Tuesday, July 19th, the year of our Lord, 2022. The last 2.5 years have been very challenging. It has been at times challenging to find inspiration. It has been challenging times to persevere. I mean, there's a lot of trauma-based mind control that has been distributed throughout the world for the last several years. And overall, a large percent of the population struggles. They struggle financially, they struggle emotionally. Addictions run very high in the world today. A large percent of the population is emotionally addicted to a set of feelings. And then financially, there's poverty consciousness, broke thoughts, and feelings of not being good enough that many people hold on to. And if that is you or people that you know of, or if you're watching and witnessing this, it is a very common commonality that a large percent of the world struggles, specifically financially and emotionally. And so struggling becomes a way of life. And then if you grew up in a house of struggle, there's going to be struggle communication. There's going to be struggle bonds and trauma bonds. And then your communication with money and your dialogue with receiving and deserving, life becomes very difficult and very hard. And many people edify this, how difficult the situation is, how hard it is, how difficult it is. And so if that is you or people you grew up with, you want to have a better understanding of why they do what we do. And so if you are in a place that you are ready to receive or you're ready to let go, then welcome. I was challenged with drugs and alcohol for 14 years. Didn't think I could ever stop. And I had entered my childhood and my teenage years with a lot of dreams and aspirations. My life was put on hold for 14 years as I struggled with, battled with, and became a chronic rock bottom alcoholic addict. When I became clean and sober at 31, it was like I had a new lease in life. And I was invigorated to get on with my life. Now, life was not an overnight success for me. I went through 9 years of ups and downs as business ownership, and there were definitely challenging moments and challenging days, and I had debt challenges at times. But by 39, I began turning the corner. That was 8 to 9 years full-time in free enterprise businesses. And then the last 2.5 years of that time frame, as I moved into 1998, not only did I turn the corner, but I began to flourish. And so this book right here has content on struggling. This is Stuart Wilde, The 3 Keys to Self-Empowerment. And in this book, there's a whole chapter right here, The Struggler's Hit Parade. This is Stuart Wilde's content on noble struggling. And struggling is a way of life for many people. Susan, so good to see you in Costa Rica. Susan, I've been watching the pictures of you and Brittany. It's so awesome to see you. So if you're a recovering struggler, or you have been challenged throughout times of your life, and you're now in this place of flourish or prosperity, congratulations. Because it doesn't matter what's going on in that world. What matters is what's going on in your world. As you begin to let go, separate your feelings from the events that shape them, as you begin to change your mindset, as you begin to step into your power, you no longer, and so struggling does not have to be a way of life. If you grew up in a family that was challenged financially, and everything was difficult and hard, and men and women were going in and out of the household, or there was addictions going on in the household. And if you grew up in this type of environment, in this type of situation, I commend you for being on this Facebook Live this afternoon, addressing this. Susan said she used to be a noble struggler, or she used to be a struggler. Now, what many people do is they just get by. They pull it off at the last minute. They settle for crumbs, and they pull it off financially and emotionally at the last minute, craving and creating that neurochemical cocktail, that cardio cocktail. Susan said, I'm living in peace and prosperity. I am so grateful. Thank you, Susan. So that is called in the flow. When you are ITF, in the flow, you're in the flow, it means that you're in prosperity, is that situations are coming to you. Life becomes a lot more organic. If you own a business, leads begin to show up. And in that situation that you're not buying leads, you're not buying sales funnels, you're not paying people to brand for you, you are doing that yourself, and that it becomes a lot more organic because the telepathic message that you are sending is that you are love, you're light, you're in bliss, you're in joy, you are not struggling. You're not in trauma bonds and panic patterns and anxiety, fear, and doubt as prevalently as you are. Mike just said that you are in the flow. And so that love that exudes for you. Now, I know it's challenging times out there. I see it every day. I watch the people walk by my home. I go out in public and dine out and see what's going on in the world. I feel it. I mean, I coach clients all over the world. I coached a woman in Dubai, from Dubai, who also lives in Paris yesterday. And she was explaining to me the degree of difficulty that she has encountered to be able to navigate the minefields of being a patriot in France. I mean, she's an amazing woman, and many of you are in the same situation. So there's perseverance, but there's also prosperity. So persevering is one situation, because you can persevere and struggle, or you can persevere and prosper. And prosper means that your life is abundant, that your health is a major component of your abundance. Your mindset, your ability to articulate your feelings into words, your ability to be your best, highest self, your ability to transmute your feelings at a very high level of consciousness. These are all components of prosperity. These are components of being your best, highest self. These are components of being able to change your belief. So if you believe life is hard, then that's what you'll create and attract your reality. As you change your beliefs, as you step into your higher power, as you step into power and you change your communication style, you're no longer sensitive and defensive. You're no longer overwhelmed. You live in a much higher state of transmutational energy. You're addressing the brain fog that you have held on to throughout the course of your life. You're beginning to let go of the trauma bonds that you've held on to. Your boundaries are much clearer with people in your life. You become clear that the people in your family, the people who violated you, the bosses and managers no longer qualify for your time. Robert Grijalva, good to see you this afternoon. Robert was my main man, my musician for Breakthroughs to Success from 2005 to 2019, attending and performing for over 100 events. He has sat in the room with me for well over 5,000 people, and he understands that, and he comes from the same philosophy that I do. He's a Christian. He knows what's going on in the world, and he focuses on bringing that light to the world. And that's when you begin to transmute your feelings from that, when you are letting go, when you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings, then you will not be doing this. This is from Stuart Wilde's little book, 3 Keys to Empowerment. Now, Wilde wrote this content in the early 90s. He wrote it in a real little book. It was a tiny little book. He had 3 of them. And then he combined them into this book, 3 Keys to Empowerment. Stuart Wilde was who I read pre-David Hawkins. So I was a Stuart Wilde devotee from the late 1980s. His first books came out on Hay House. Louise Hay published his books. One of his first books was The Trick to Money is Having Some, The Little Money Bible, Whispering Winds of Change, Empowerment. Now, this book is very unique. It's very short, but this is a great chapter right here. The Strugglers Hit Parade. And he breaks down how many people wave the strugglers flag, and they want attention. They want people to love them for struggling. They want recognition for struggling. They tend to be very codependent. They enable, over-obligate, do more for others than they do for themselves. They want handouts, not just a hand up. They want handouts. They want recognition for their struggle. And these are the people that just suck the life out of people. They live in trauma bonds, panic patterns, and they're spiritual, emotional vampires, most of them, and they are noble, addicted strugglers. I'm sure you have some of these people in your family. They tend to live with your parents, or they move their parents in, or whatever they tend to do, or they tend to mooch off people. They tend to sponge off people. They tend to couch surf and end up on people's situations. And then they always have a story. There's a story that they want you to buy into. Oftentimes their story's intoxicating. And they tend to gravitate to other codependents who are also guilty of these feelings, and then they will take these people in. And then strugglers attract strugglers. And as you begin to have a better understanding of this, you will look for people who are much more empowered, people who live in prosperity, people who don't have these stories of holding on and dragging the 150-pound grandfather clock in life. There are many people that they strap on their wrist the grandfather clock from their past, and they drag it around their entire life, and they tell stories about this clock. Did I tell you about my clock? Yes, about 100 times. Well, let me tell you about my clock. You already did about 100 times. Well, my clock is just struggle. I've just struggled with this clock, and that's what they do. They struggle. Strugglers struggle because they struggle. Strugglers live in their head. They live in a lot of high anxiety. They process, they think, and they analyze, and they like to interrupt good people and say, yeah, but. So 2 of their favorite words are yeah, but. Strugglers live in the excuse consciousness. They have excuses for everything. And life is difficult for them, and they want to edify it, and they want you to edify it for them. Strugglers fall in the narcissistic category. They tend to have narcissistic tendencies, and oftentimes bring their feelings of low self-esteem, and they cast them on you. and they want you to buy into their story. It's going to be your responsibility to be able to separate your feelings from these people, have very clear boundaries with them, and then if they're looking for some level of empowerment, you offer it. But if they want to seduce you with their story, you're going to have to, it'll be your responsibility not to feel guilty and separate these feelings and let them go. And once again, if you're just joining my content, Crystal, how are you this afternoon? Callie, good to see you. Michael J. Herman, I will say this. I say it every time I see you, Michael. You definitely are the man. Michael is the king of style. I've known Michael for well over 20 years. He's attended many of my events and hosted me on a podcast this year. Crystal, how are you this afternoon? Letting go of struggle is my topic for today's Facebook Live. Now, the way I have been through challenges in my life. So in Word is Law, I began to change the word struggle and just get by, and I started challenges. I'm experiencing a few challenges today. Now, challenges it's a different situation than struggle. Struggle has its own identity. Struggle is very hard. It's dragging the grandfather clock around. It's chaining yourself up to the radiator and dragging that radiator from the building in the 50s that your parents used to live in. And struggle is bringing that struggle story. Oh my God, life has been so difficult for me. You have no idea what I've been through. I do. I definitely have an idea because I know that you're going to tell me about it. And strugglers like to intoxicate you with their story. And it's going to be your responsibility to be able to separate your feelings. When I'm hosting a live event, I'll have people go, let me ask you a question. Then they start telling a story. And I'll go, do you have a question? Well, I do, but I go, do you have a question? Because if you don't have a question, then I'm not going to let you tell a story. And I've had people in audiences go, oh, you're so mean. No, I'm clear. I'll spell it. C-L-E-A-R, and mean is spelled M-E-A-N. I'm not mean, I am clear. And if I let people tell these stories, then they suck the life out of the room. And the more that you are clear in your communication, the more that you are clear. When you are around these people, it's going to be your responsibility to spot them, have clearly defined boundaries around them. Understand that they are who they are, and you're not responsible for that story. If there's an opportunity for you to empower someone, that is awesome. But if they just want you to hear their story and suck the life out of you because they're an emotional, spiritual vampire, you will be exhausted if you're in that trauma bond with them. If you become clear and understand the situation and you're there to offer a hand up like this, not the hand out. So if you put your hand out, they typically grab your wrist and drag you back into the crab bucket. And unfortunately, that happens to a lot of good people. And you yourself, when you step out of poverty consciousness, when you step out of lack, when you elevate yourself up to conscious awareness, when you let go of trauma bonds and panic patterns, the brain fog that you held on to from traumas, sexual abuse, being an adult child of alcoholics. I'm going to do content very soon on ACOA, what it means to be an adult child of an alcoholic, and then the collateral damage that creates. So if you grew up in a household with that going on around you, there's a high probability that the brain fog that you're in is a byproduct of some of that content that happened to you early in. Brain fog happens because of trauma that we hold on to. The amygdala actually enlarges the little gland in the brain, and then the prefrontal cortex shrinks, and then the hippocampus shrinks, which is a recipe for brain fog. And so that pinball that's going off in your head, you're not crazy, you're overwhelmed. And if you live in that overwhelmed state of struggle, in an unorganized, undisciplined household, with a desk that looked like a bomb went off, and the bills keep stacking up and piling up, and you can't get your car in your garage, well, perhaps it's time that you change your philosophy. And if you're looking for insight and wisdom, you're looking for assistance on this breakthrough context, I assist people to have a better understanding of the cause that creates the effect of why you do what you do. Thank you, Crystal. That's very kind of you. That is very, for those of you who wanted to attend my 2-day workshop. Now I'm gonna do it one more time this year. So I have people going, are you gonna go speak again? No, I'm not more than likely ever going to go speak again. I spoke for 21 years. I flew 2 million miles. I am the equivalent of a professional athlete. I spoke 1,037 times. I was in front of audiences of 10,000 plus, and I spoke in front of people that are as few as 20 people occasionally. This last weekend, I had 20 people at my event, Millionaire Blueprint. That event is designed for 20 to 40 people. I'm going to host it one more time this year in December. I brought world-class speakers that you've never heard of. I brought John Mason to that event specifically to teach my audience insurance products. What is an indexed annuity? What does that actually mean? What are insurance products I can buy that are guaranteed return on investment that I can't lose money on? I mean, I brought 3 speakers there to teach different variations of breathing, not just 1, but 3. Myself included, that was 4, and I brought 1 expert on real estate investing. So that's what I will continue to promise that I will deliver in my hometown. That is in Stockton, California. My next event will be one of the 3 weekends in December before Christmas. I'm just waiting to hear back from a few of my women clients who are going to attend that event, and then I'll put the dates up for that event. And in that event, we definitely address the cause that creates the effect of why we do what we do. My entire portion was on the brain and letting go, separating the feelings from the events that shape them. And if you seek that content, I will continue to deliver it here on Facebook 7 days a week. I host a Facebook Live 7 days a week, specifically on content pertinent to why you do what you do, so that you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. I'm going to be 66 years old soon. I've been down the rabbit hole of conspiracy, truth, and a lot of very deep content for the last 40 years. I mean, I grew up in it, and I have lived it. And for the last 33 years, I've been clean and sober. And I met some exceptional truthers and speakers in the 90s, which unequivocally changed the path and course of my career, because I started to understand the difference between truth and falsehood. You know, what is really behind the veil? If you read the book The Wizard of Oz, that is not a children's story. That is a banking story. That is a story of the Federal Reserve and what was about to happen in 13 years later after Frank Baum wrote that book, because that's when the Federal Reserve was enacted, the Federal Reserve Bank Act, which then kicked in the Internal Revenue Service, which kicked off World War I, which later led to World War II, which led to the 3-letter organizations that now are in command. And so I'll let you do the 3 letters so you understand what that means. So if you are seeking truth versus falsehood, and you want me to assist you, or you want me to be your coach, then reach out to me in Facebook Messenger and send me a message. But if you have trauma bonds and money issues and broke thoughts and panic patterns, well, the time to contact me isn't when it's perfect. The time to contact me is right now. So if you are seeking that content, I would be honored to speak to you. And I have coached 17,000 clients in my life. I have coached 70,000 hours one-on-one. I've spoken 1,038 times now. I forgot to add that. So actually 1,039 because I spoke 2 days. So that's, if you are seeking the inner guidance, the wisdom, specifically the insight on the facilitation, the mechanism of letting go, there are very few people in the world that do what I do. It's a niche. So letting go is the separation between the feelings and the events. So if you grow up in alcoholism, if you grow up in addiction, if you grow up in chaos, if you grow up in violence, your body started reacting to that stimulus as a child. That creates fight or flight, hypervigilance, and then eventually leads to brain fog. So if you have challenges with memory, if you have challenges remembering, if you get overwhelmed easily, if life is a struggle, or if you're in another situation, if you want to enhance your performance, I also do that. I've been a 7-figure income earner for 27 consecutive years. I understand free enterprise business. I've coached insurance agents, real estate agents, people who own small business, large business, multimillionaires. I've coached people's children for them to assist them. One of my clients just hired me to coach his 14-year-old son. Jerome Harmson just hired me to coach his 14-year-old son, Truman. That will be an exceptional pleasure for me. So if you are seeking that inner insight on the cause that creates the effect of why you do what you do, events shape feelings. And if you don't understand why you do what you do, what happens is the body reacts to stimulus. So it's fight or flight. It's hypervigilance. In letting go, letting go is the ability to separate your feelings from the events that shape them. This is a good one. Vicki Lee, good to see you. Ray Tamayo is an exceptional coaching client and friend of mine. Just said you've coached carpet cleaners. Ray was a top-tier carpet cleaner when I coached him. Now, for those of you who don't know this, many carpet cleaners are seven-figure income earners. There is that type of prosperity in that vocation, once again, if you're that type of entrepreneur. If you're looking for guidance and wisdom and you'd like to reach out to me, feel free to send me a Facebook message. I offer free 20-minute coaching calls for a man or a woman who is seeking that insight. So if you're looking for insight wisdom on the inner game of letting go, yes, Crystal, I do offer. Crystal, just reach out and, Crystal, I know who you are. Just send me a message and we can discuss that. But I do. I have coached many teenagers. The teenager has to be receptive, but I mean, I'm a recovering teenage addict. My first blackout happened at 18. I was an addict from 18 to 31, and so my entire 20s were brain fog. Vicki Lee says, I highly endorse Jeffery as a coach. I'm the best, she says. Vicki, you're the best. We're both the best. We're the best at being the best. Love all of you. Jeffery Combs, president and founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. Mike Green, I feel you, my brother. So go ahead and give me contact me up there. I'll get right back to you like this. I have a free half an hour, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Have a great afternoon, everyone. I'll be back here tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Good night.